Hello again and welcome to Real Magic Review. My name is Steve Faulkner and I'm here again to help find stuff that reminds us why we got into magic in the first place, which probably wasn't just so we can have loads and loads of stuff. This week I'm going to be reviewing Phill Smith and DMC's ALPHAS deck. And before the review, as usual, can you please like and subscribe, hit the bell because that will give you notifications, and go and check out my online card magic course. That's cardmagiccourse.com. Just completed a course within that called How to Practice, which is all the theory of practice, which is pretty cool, and all the card moves you're ever gonna need. So that's cardmagiccourse.com and get your free spread code tutorial, cardmagiccourse.com/cull. So these are from mentalist Phill Smith and DMC Drummer Money Coots, who you would have seen on Death by Magic, maybe on Netflix, and lots of other stuff on a telly box. They bought us the Elites before, and this was this marked deck, and I'll go into that in a minute. But these are slightly different. Well, they're very different, but with a similarity, which I will tell you. But first of all, I'll just tell you what you get. You get a really nice deck of cards, which is going to be important because if you're going to spend money on one deck, you want it to be decent. These are US Playing Card Company B stock, so they're the high grade card stock. So they've got that kind of lovely sheeny finish to them. The box is lovely. It's got that mottled kind of tactile thing with the DMC logo on the front. And you get these, and I'll go into what they are now. This is a marked deck of cards, okay? So when I saw the Elites at the session, Phill was showing them to me, and I love the idea of a marked deck, but I don't, these are the Elites again, I don't really use them that much. And a lot of it's because when I've done marked deck tricks, if the light isn't perfect, which 99.9% of the time it isn't when I'm working, I kind of find myself kind of going, oh, hold the card up and concentrate. And I'm kind of, it's not a great look, is it? And I love the idea of using them on stage, but you know, when I've got, you know, a lovely lighting rig on stage, it's fine. But a lot of the time it isn't perfect. So there we have an issue there. So when Phill was showing me this, these Elites, straight away I'm going, yeah, I don't really use marked decks. And then he showed me the marking system and I went, right, there you go, that's kind of answered all those questions. So that's that, they're a marked deck. But they are not a normal marked deck because they haven't got clubs, spades, hearts, diamonds, normal cards, they are letters. Okay, and this is what the ALPHAS deck is. It's a deck of letters. So here's a little test. I'm going to chuck one over there and see the distance I can actually read it from. And I haven't done much practice with this, I haven't looked yet. That's an N. N for November, hopefully. Yay. So I mean, some of them may be difficult, and like I said, I really haven't practiced with these. I haven't sat there and learnt them all. So that's an F, I think. I haven't done this with the Elites. Obviously, there's more to read on the Elites. So I'm not sure how this works, but with no practice, that's a 10 of hearts. So let's get straight into why. Why have a deck of letters? See, me, straight away, I'm sold on this because I like doing, quite a lot of times I've sent people little videos with little messages with me dealing out cards. It's a nice thing to do in it. A lot of us have done it. We'll do a load of false deals. Instead of dealing out 4 aces, we'll deal out someone's name or say happy birthday and all that kind of stuff. Great. But I've usually done this with kind of blank cards and written on them, which is all right, but I've kind of got the writing of a 9-year-old, so that's not great. I have, for trade shows and stuff, got cards specially printed, which is fine if the money's good enough to justify it, which sounds awful, but it's true. So straight away, I've got a deck of cards here that I can do those tricks with. And when you start thinking about it, and it says this in the, you can buy a booklet, this Passport to ALPHAS booklet with a load of routines in it, which I'm not reviewing today, but I'm sure I will make another video on that. But it says, you know, you start thinking about the stuff you do with normal playing cards, and you start going, actually, that would be brilliant with their name, or a word that they just tell me, or a word that they think of, or a word that they spell out themselves with the cards. And so you start getting all these, and you realise that most of the stuff you do can be adapted and made better with a name or with something that's personal to them. And if you think about that, you know, and it says this, which I never really thought about, is that lots and lots and lots of people don't play cards anymore. It's a really sad thing, but they don't. So if you're dealing out a royal flush, they kind of know it's good, but they haven't got that connection to it. But what they have got a connection to is their name or someone's name or something that's familiar to them. So you have got a deeper connection there, and I think that to me is brilliant. So we've got that, but then we've got the marking side of it. Now what that does is two things. It opens up a whole array of kind of mentalism style effect where you can give them all the cards and say, just spell out the cards face down just so I can't see them, and then you can do stuff because you can read the marks. Two other things also impressed me. One of them was the fact that they've researched a frequency table, so they know how many letters to put in this deck, so you're going to be able to spell pretty much most words. So that's most people's names. So they know that if the letter A pops up in most words, they're going to put more of them in than they are X. Sounds pretty obvious, but it's important when you don't want to go and buy loads of other decks of cards. And this idea of the one-way marking system as well. So when you put a card down, if it's a letter, it's really important that you know that when you turn that card over, it's going to be the right orientation. So if you want to do something that looks quite slick, that maybe someone's filming, you want to be able to lay the cards out, turn them over, and then not be looking upside down T or something like that. It's going to look a bit tatty, isn't it? So you know there that adds that other bit of confidence, really, that it's going to look good. And the marking system, you can sort of double check yourself that you're going to not misspell something, because that again would be quite embarrassing. So I haven't got anything to say about this deck that's negative, because if it wasn't well made, it would be that. If it wasn't a brilliant marking system, it would be that. If it was, I mean, it just looks great. The cards are brilliant quality. Like I said, they're really top quality stock. They look great. The back design is great. Phill Smith is a great designer, so everything looks good. If you want to incidentally look at more routines with this, each of these decks actually come with this passport. So the passport to mark cards, the passport to the alphas, and these give you some really strong routines. So, and there's a bit of a mix. There's a lot of mentalism in there. It's quite a nice thing with a kind of almost sort of a impromptu blindfold peek. There's even a version of the Gemini twins. So there's a lot of stuff in here. This is a separate thing that you can buy that gives you some ideas. But my feeling is that that's a brilliant thing to have, but once you start playing with these, you'll realise that most of your card stuff can use words and letters. So there it is. That's Phill Smith and DMC's Alphas deck. You can get this on their site. I think DMC's got them on his site. No doubt if you Google it, you can find them. I know Vanish Link do them. Everybody's doing them, and because they've only just been released. So have a look at that. I'll put a few links below, and thank you very much. Before you go, please like and subscribe, and of course check out my Card Magic course. That's cardmagiccourse.com if you want your free spread cull download tutorial, and it's quite in depth. That's cardmagiccourse.com/cull. Have a good one. Whatever you do, look after yourself, because at the moment it's getting pretty snowy and hectic out there. And thanks very much. Cheers.